Hey guys, this is Stephen SEO Floyd, and welcome back to the second video in our introduction to on-page factors for local businesses. So again, to reiterate, what we're covering today in these few videos is the type of on-page things that you want to be doing if you're doing client sites. So remember, if you've seen other training in other parts of the course, they may have applied to affiliate sites, or they may apply to national sites. There's all kinds of reasons. So if you see conflicting information, don't automatically think that it's actually conflicting information, okay? And also remember too, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So what I'm showing you guys in this training, in all the training, is how I do things, and the way that I do it has been working for me for a long time and is Google safe. If you see another method though, feel free to try it. I've never said that my way is the only way or even the best way. It's just the way that's been working for me. All right. So again, this is going to be part 2 of the introduction to on-page. So in the last training, I introduced you to a site that was a local business. And again, I want to reiterate, this is not my site. It's not my client's site. Okay. It just happens to be a local business that I've actually used many times for training. So that's why I'm using it now. So I always try to get that out of the way because people, want to attack these sites or whatever. So if you do, feel free, but you're not hurting me. You're hurting whoever happens to own this. So anyway, so we covered a lot of things in the last video. And if you haven't watched that video yet, the introduction to on-page, please stop this video and watch it and come back. Again, everything that I teach you in this course is meant to be learned and applied in order. Okay, so, all right, so we went over quite a few things on the last one. So what we're going to focus on this one, I want to show you a couple of things. So one of the things that I pointed out in the last training was how we had our social accounts here for trust, and that's good because frankly, guys, if your business doesn't have a Facebook and a Google Plus and a Twitter and even really a YouTube nowadays, it just doesn't look legit, okay? You know, pretty much all real brands, real companies are at a minimum going to have Facebook and Twitter, all right? So you definitely want to get these set up for your clients if they're not already set up, okay? So again, as I mentioned, this is good to have on page as a trust factor, okay? But we need more. So let me show you. I'm going to go and pick one of these articles here, and this is from their blog, okay? But what I want to show you on this is they have the social sharing icons here, okay? So again, I want to make sure you understand the difference. This simply goes to their page. If I click on this link here, then what will happen is it will simply take me to the Facebook page for Elevated Roofing, all right? Or if I click on this, it'll take me to their Google Plus page or their Twitter, all right? So by contrast, I want you to understand that this is going to allow me to share it. So if I were signed into Facebook right now, which I'm not, but if I were and I clicked on this, it would ask me to share it on my Facebook account or to share on Twitter, okay? So this is different, right? And when we talk about social signals, which I'm going to talk about this more in future training, but these are on-page social signals, which are super, super important, okay? Because this is going to give credibility to this individual post, okay? But this should be on pretty much all of your pages, okay? So I hope that makes sense, that what we're going to want to do is not only give them these, because this is just trust and credibility, but we also want to give anyone that visits our site the ability to share our content, okay? And as of the last time I checked, a Facebook share was actually more valuable than a Facebook like, okay? So again, you definitely want to have these. If you're using a WordPress or another CMS like Joomla or Drupal, there's lots of plugins or whatever they're called that will do these for you for free, okay? So you don't even have to have any kind of coding knowledge. There's probably 2 or 3 dozen plugins that are available for WordPress that will just make sure that all these little icons are in all of your posts, okay? So that's definitely something that you want to do, okay? Because what that's doing is it's increasing the page authority to this individual page. Now, this is a blog post, okay? So, are we really going to rank a blog post? Not normally. But this links out, this is basically trying to power up our McKinney page here, okay? So again, we want to make sure that we not only have social trust, but also social sharing, okay? All right, so the next thing I want to go through is the basic layout for what I do for a multi-location business, okay? Now again, there's not one way to do this, but the way that I'm going to show you here is how I've been doing this for a long time and how I will probably continue to do this for some time. And the main reason that I use the method that I use is that Googlebot finds the way that I do this as logical. So if you were to have if you were to go through Google Webmaster Tools and go through their product forums and all their help files, it will tell you that Googlebot thinks that your site should be organized in a certain kind of way, all right? There's a way that Googlebot thinks that your site should be organized to make it best for the end user, and if you follow what it likes, then it will tend to rank you more highly, and your visitors can find the content more readily, all right? So let me tell you what they typically like, all right, for a local business. So I'm just going to pick this McKinney page here, okay? But what Google typically likes is going to be one of two things. So there's one example if it's a product-based business, and there's another if it's a service area business. So in this example, for this is a local roofing company. So I'm going to use the service area example. So as you see here, what we have is elevatedroofing.com/service areas/McKinney, Texas. Okay. This is what Google likes. Okay. It likes this. Now, does this have to say service areas? No. It could say our locations. Okay. It could say all kinds of things. All right. But the key is that to Googlebot and to a user, this is logical that if you went to the home page and you wanted to find an individual location, that you would click on, find a location, find a store, service area, right? That you would click on something like that, which would then give you a list of the available areas, okay? So if you think about any business that's like a big business, like think about Target or Walmart or anything like that, okay? If you go to walmart.com, then you're going to have, a button that says, find a store, find a location. When you go there, it's going to have a very large list of all the locations. And of course, Walmart is global. So, this is going to be much more in-depth for them than it would be a local business. A local business typically only serves, a metropolitan area typically. Like this business, for example, serves the North Texas area. So, you're talking about a 50-mile square radius area. Okay? So this is what you're going to want to do. Domain.com/service areas or similar /location. Now, depending on how you have optimized the rest of the page and what type of anchor text you've been using on your backlinks, you may want to then further optimize this if you chose to. But what I want to show you is this. Elevated Roofing is what we call a partial match domain, meaning that if the keyword we're targeting here is McKinney Roofing, Elevated Roofing by itself has one of the keywords in it, okay? It has roofing. But Elevated is, in this instance, it's not McKinney or Dallas, right? So this is a partial match domain. If this were McKinneyRoofing.com, that would be what we call an exact match domain, all right? And those still work great, but the optimization has to be a lot more careful. So this method here, again, works very well because it allows you to expand quickly. It allows you to expand safely, all right? So if you look at this URL here, we have roofing in the URL and we have the city in the URL, okay? And state, by the way, okay? So we have multiple location identifiers here. We have the city and the state. So Google is positive that this is McKinney, Texas. So for example, there's a Dallas, Georgia, right? I'm in Dallas, Texas, but there's a Dallas, Georgia. So adding on this, is going to help with that, right? I'm not sure if there's another McKinney somewhere else, but this is just a good rule of thumb, okay? Now, again, I want to reiterate, is this the only way to do it? No. But this is the way that I do it, and this is the way that works really well for me, okay? So if we were then going to optimize this McKinney, Texas page, then we would want to make sure that it had some things about McKinney on here, okay? We want to make sure that it had some relevant content for the city of McKinney. And we'd also want to make sure that, of course, it still had some relevant content for roofing. So, this isn't super good. If I landed on this page by itself, I don't know, it's not great. Probably could use some videos or some images or something, right? But basically it kind of serves the purpose, okay? And now if we actually had a McKinney, Texas location, then this page here would have the NAP for that, okay? So it would have our actual location in McKinney, okay? I wouldn't have this, right? Because we talked about if it's a single location, then I like to put the name, address, and phone number in a site-wide footer. But if they actually serve multiple areas and they have multiple locations, then we wouldn't do that, okay? So if we actually had an office in McKinney, then we would have its phone number here, and we would have the name and address, like right here, okay? So, again, don't get bound to what these words are. This is service areas. It could be locations served, areas served, locations, find a store, find a location. Doesn't matter what you call this, okay? What matters is that it's a logical, that it's sorted logically and organized logically according to Google's webmaster terms, okay? Now, this is for a service area location business. I mentioned also that there's a different one if you are selling products. Think of it more like a store, okay? So if you were doing that, this would change slightly, and what it would change to would be domain.com, okay? And let's say that Elevated Roofing sold, roofing supplies, okay? Just for this example. Instead of it being a service company, let's say that it sold roofing supplies. Then it would be elevatedroofing.com/products, right? Or /brands, right? Products or brands, / maybe a subcategory /product, okay? So this might look like elevatedroofing.com /products, okay, /shingles, right? And it could be it, and you could have all your shingles on there. Or if you had different brands of shingles, then it would be elevatedroofing.com /products /shingles wood shingles, let's say, okay? So I'm not going to go too far into this example because there's all kinds of different ways that you can choose to do that. But what you need to keep in mind, you want to copy, again, businesses that are winning. If you get to a huge store, like a Target or a Walmart, they are going to be having, generated URLs. So it's going to look a little bit different. But what I want you to keep in mind is the way that they organize their site from the top level down, or even like an Amazon or an eBay, is what Google's looking for. So if you were looking for a pair of Adidas running shoes on Walmart, then you would likely go to walmart.com /sporting goods /athletic shoes /maybe Adidas /maybe the individual shoes, right? Or it might be walmart.com /clothing /shoes Adidas, right? There's a lot of different ways you can do this. So I don't want you to get hung up on the specifics, but I do want you to realize that when you go deeper than 3 levels on the URL, you're going to have more trouble ranking the page, okay? So in this example, level 1 is elevatedroofing.com. So that's our home page because it's the top level. If we go down 1 level to level 2, we would go to this service areas page, okay? Still good, still easy to rank. Level 3 is this McKinney, Texas page. So you see here, this is 1, 2, 3 levels steep. For your local clients, you don't ever want to go deeper than 3 levels if you can avoid it, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, I did show you the service areas way to do this, and that's the most common way. You could also flip this around and do it by services, okay? So you could say elevatedroofing.com /services let's say residential roofing, okay? So as an example, let's go to this, okay? So this is elevated roofing /services /residential, okay? You could also go this way, and then you could have all of your cities listed on this page, okay? So again, guys, I don't want to confuse you. but I want you to be aware that there's lots of available choices for you. But again, the key things I want you to take away from this, I want you to get some social sharing on your pages, because that's going to be really important for their authority and trust. So these little icons here, I want you to make sure, again, that you have your social icons here for trust, okay? And then I want you to make sure that you have a nice logical structure to your URLs, okay? Make sure that it's nice and logical, because when you feed Google things the way that it wants it to be fed, then you get better results long term, okay? It's also easy to grow out when you lay the foundation properly. All right? So again, that is going to be all for this part of the training. So far, if you follow just what I've taught you on the on page, you should be pretty close to being ready to have your pages do very well in local competition. All right? So as usual, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next